I understand many of you come from far out places, and so it shows real commitment. And I'm not quite sure if they're reviewing this lecture, so people tend to make a video. Doesn't happen the whole time. So I get to be a bit conscious, so pasensya na kayo if I mumble through. My objective today is to give you an overview about training services. I know many of you have been working on this issue and quite familiar, so I have to go again through some of the concepts that you may have already studied to the depth in previous e-learning sessions. I thought I would just like to clarify certain points or to stress in the library, which says international economics. Most often the case, the product that they're talking about would be something like this, or something like this, or like this. These are what called goods basically. But services, no, not much actually. Why? Because services are new. At the same time, because they're new for those sort of and financial services grew faster than those that did not. Obviously, right? I mean, communications is a very fundamental aspect of doing business coordination. If it's very expensive, then it's very difficult for economy to grow fast because of these are like infrastructures, bottlenecks that prevent opportunities from being exploited. Then services liberalization, developing economies, these are some models. They say they provide a huge sum in terms of benefits. Okay, gains from trade, the usual garden variety, increased product variety, new specialized services, which can emerge if you trade, right? And scale economies here. So the whole idea about trade is that you usually build on a certain sector. Meaning, one question here is sometimes there's one fellow who says, I don't believe in cost. The Philippines should not just go. Do we want to be a nation of call centers? Because we should have manufacturing, not call centers. Well, one answer to that is call center is a startup in Ireland. The moment companies are comfortable, they keep on adding accountancy. They put research and development, they put back office. So from call center is a ladder in which you can go up and up the value chain. Meaning for the work you get better pay return because it has more value added. But you start with call center to get the confidence of your trading partners. So it's more dynamic than static. Thank you. Okay, potential costs, of course, not everything is explosive. You know, there are two sides in the coin, so they say. So potential costs of trade agreements, they can tend to be complex and intrusive in domestic policy when there are agreements of good trade. They're more intrusive because they touch on regulation. So they can impose on Philippine regulatory about nurses, about certification for doctors, about engineers. So they're more quite intrusive. In goods, it's easy, it's just tariff. But here is how actually you give the test given, how many foreign employers you can actually employ. So it becomes more intrusive in that respect. Trade agreement requires trade-offs between policy flexibility, domestic sovereignty, market access. And that's part of life. If you want some, you have to give up some. And that's the whole idea of exchange. Now the question here is who benefits most? That's an area of negotiation. But, that's something else. That's a different area altogether. So governments need to ensure that they retain enough policy flexibility to address market failures and internal income distribution objectives. Which means usually the problems come here in how do you deal with foreign monopolies? Is it okay? You have a local monopoly, you break it up, you allow foreigners to come. But the people who come in are also monopolists. So how do you deal with that? Is having a local monopoly better than a foreign monopoly? That's a very difficult question to answer. Maybe all fans say, no, local monopoly is better. It's the money, the company, I mean, it's retained in the Philippines, but you have to look into issues. Not perhaps the best person to talk about it right now, but that's an issue that policymakers may want to consider. Okay. Other costs of trade, of course, displacement. You have to say replace local cartels with foreign ones, and scale economies. And this will work here. Of course, you have necessary conditions, especially when we talk about regulations, like professionals coming in. One thing I'd like to point out here is that liberalization is different from regulation. You can have very strict regulation but very liberalized, meaning foreign firms can come in but they are subject to strict Philippine regulation. So there are two things. Now, okay, you have two scenarios. What do you want? Poor regulation and no liberalization. Poor regulation but no liberalization. Okay, if there's a damage, you can control because everything is in the Philippines, right? There's not a lot. Very tight regulation but free entry of foreign. That's workable. As long as the foreign service suppliers behave, right? Because they comply with regulation, perhaps they can give the better outcome. But the worst outcome could be is poor regulation, then what? Free or no entry? Free entry, poor regulation. Labo-labo na yan, no? So you don't really know, so just want to emphasize that regulation is compatible with liberalization. It doesn't mean that you liberalize, you give up your regulatory powers. No, like in the US banking system, very heavy-handed regulation, but they're actually free. As long as you comply, you're a safe bank, you can operate, as long as you comply with regulations. So what do we want? Commitments, rules-based system. Well, I'm just repeating basically what I said earlier, so we can next slide please. We finished now. So thank you. So we see this eventually.